Alright, what's up guys? It's Carter here, and obviously this is probably the most bootleg whiteboard session you've ever seen, but I didn't bring all the lighting stuff. I'm just, working in the office, not a big deal. But I thought this would be a good time to show you something. I do this all the time with websites, and I do this sometimes with apps. I haven't had an app in a while that I've done this with, but I think that this is a really good foray into what people are talking about. We just had Kwong write in the Facebook group that he's had so much success doing this. And I think that it's really good to explain this and to just show you guys visually how this can work. And what I'm talking about is using analytics to understand your app, specifically your user experience. For anybody in the App Business Strength program, this last week is all about engagement and retention. This is what we're going to talk about. But I just thought that I would give everyone an overview so that you can get started and at least you can start thinking about your app. Now the key to all this, the key to all analytics, to all data, to product improvement, anything, is you got to break it down into small pieces. That's what is everything. Okay, I can tell you that one of the biggest reasons why people don't get started in the online business world is because they feel overwhelmed, specifically because of the tech, right? Like if you're building websites, there's so many parts. But the same is true in the app business. They see all these parts and it's like, oh gosh, I don't even know. Analytics, I think, for everybody who's already in the app business is the same thing. It's this idea where it just seems like this whole world, and how do you know where to start? And what do you do? How do you create a better product? How do you create a better user experience? And so I just want to paint a very top level picture as best I can using a whiteboard and see if this helps you guys. All right, so let's just say this is your iTunes page, okay? And you're starting here, and let's go on iTunes, and the user lands on that page, and they download it, and now the app is on their phone, right? Boom, right there, there's your app on the phone. When the user boots up the app, now we're gonna go into kind of a new user experience here, like this is a new thing. What is the first thing that they see? Well, let's say they have an onboarding experience, so we'll call this like onboarding. After the onboarding, they have a first-time user experience. So like let's say you have a photo app. After you onboard them, you want to walk them through the first time they make a photo app or something like that. Maybe that's your first time. You want to like show them how it's going to be. They go through the process and maybe they apply a successful filter or whatever, and then they share the app, right? This is you just walk through your app. You walk through, if you have a build box game, if you have a casino game, if you have a photo app, if you have a utility app, it doesn't matter. All you do is just walk through the steps of what is a user going through, and specifically, what do you want them to go through? Now, I'll give you Bluecloud as an example because it's something all of you know how to relate to. You opt in for the email, you go to a thank you page, there's a sales video that says, hey, do you want to spend, I think, $7 on the 5-step app system, which is a huge PDF series that teaches you almost everything about the app. And we have whatever the conversion rate is, like 8 or 10% conversion rate, and then it moves through a particular funnel. We bullet this out as if in a perfect world, what happens is that people find out about Bluecloud, they read a few blog posts, they opt in, they buy the product, they read it, they implement it, they realize that they want to learn more, they want to take it to the next level, they buy a source code, they realize that there's a lot more that they want to take this, they want to build a business, they buy the app formula, they join the group, they have success, they come to some events, and they become consulting clients. Okay, that's the ultimate user experience from a sales standpoint, I guess you can say. Same is true for you. Like, what do you want people to go through to have a really successful experience that will then lead to them buying an in-app purchase or clicking on an ad and installing something else or sharing it with their friends or sharing it on their Instagram account? Whatever the success is for you, for your app, you bullet out the steps. Okay, that's the first step. Just bullet it all out. Just break it all down. And that's just by you using the app. That's by sitting down with a bunch of your friends or family members and saying, hey, can you just go through this app with me and just talk out loud? And you start to see all this. Now with analytics, what you want to do is you have, let's say you have Google Analytics in there, or Flurry, or Mixpanel, or whatever you have. It's collecting all the data in here, but you may need to go in and say, okay, I want to make sure that I know how to measure the people that completed the onboarding experience. So you may need to talk to a developer and say, listen, I want something to fire in Google Analytics, an event or a goal that fires when people complete the onboarding experience. And the developer says, okay, I can go do that. You now know how to measure how many people went through the onboarding experience. If I asked you, hey, you got 1,000 downloads last week, how many completed the onboarding? You could open up Google Analytics and easily tell me. That's all it is. That's what you got to do. Then the next is you want to find out how many people went through an entire first series. Like they completed the first level. They completed level 1 on a casino game. They got to level 5 on Color Switch. Anything that you can think of. Whatever the first time experience is, they went through and they colored one app. There is something that needs to fire in the app, some event or goal that says, hey, this is completed now. So that I can come to you and say, all right, of the 1,000 people, of the 600 who went through the onboarding, how many of them completed the first time? Or how many people total, right? So let's say you had 300 people actually go through and go through the first experience of the app. They did the experience that you want to. So now you have 2 points. You have 1, you have 2, and then you get to the third. All right, well, how many people actually use the filter, or how many people actually use the bonus spins, or how many people, I don't know. I mean, how many people unlock the different parts of the app that you're using, and you could fire events and goals in there. Your developer can go in and say, hey, when this happens, fire this out to the analytics platform we're using. So now you can measure this. And when you go through this systematically, all of a sudden you're saying, wow, I know exactly how many people go through every single part of my app. That gets really powerful, right? And then you get into the in-app purchases, the ads, the promotions, the share on Facebook, whatever it is that you want to track, you can add that in there. But the whole point is that you just go through this step by step. And then you start to assign a number. All right, let's say 30%. These markers suck. 30% complete the onboarding, okay? And of non-onboarding, we have 50% complete the first time. And people who do the onboarding, we have 80% complete the first time. So you obviously see that when people do the onboarding, there's a huge increase that they're gonna do this, right? That trickles down. So now your focus is, all right, how do I update my app to take this and get it up to 50%? What tests can I do? Do I add more steps? Do I add a video? Do I change the graphics? You got to try different things. You can look at best practices in the store and see what other people are doing. But you now have a benchmark that you can improve upon. And once you improve that, all of these start to improve too. And once you get this to a point where you're like, all right, I'm testing 5 things and nothing's getting better. I think I found the best I can do at this point. Then you move on to the next. You say, all right, well, how do I make the first time experience even easier or even better or even more compelling? And you take it and you get it up further and further and further. How do you make and then you just go down through the app, through the entire experience, and you say, how do I just keep improving and making this better? And it's all measured. It's all this data coming in. And even if you're not into data, if you're scared of data, whatever, it's really easy when you're measuring it. Because the hard part, the overwhelming part is not knowing what questions to ask and not knowing where to go find that data. But if you're just looking at a custom report that's very easy to read, it's like seeing how many downloads you got that day. It just spits it out. And so it's not that hard. And so this is what building a great product is all about. This is how you break it down. This is how it stops being overwhelming. And this is how any single one of you could take any template you have, any game, app, whatever, any product really, and you can do this exact same exercise. It starts with bucketing out the parts of the user experience. Next, it comes to installing events or goals into your analytics, which is very easy to do. And then the third is letting the data go through, and so that you have benchmarks And the fourth step is starting to test it, all right? And once you get this really, really optimized and you get it as best you can, that's when you step back and you go back over to here, back over to traffic sources. And you'll find that while you might have been relying on the App Store and App Store optimization for organic traffic your whole life, you might find that organic traffic, like App Store traffic, the numbers are like 30%, 20%, 5%, but targeted Facebook ads, and you're getting 60%, 90%, the traffic source can impact this as well, right? That's why this is such a big deal, because once you get the product really, really strong, it just comes down to how do you get more people that are most likely to have the best experience through the app. You know, and you get into things like YouTube ads, you get into things like influencer, you get into Twitter, social media, Pinterest, whatever. And you can start testing all of this and see how it impacts that. This, what you're looking at right here, this is how like billion-dollar app companies are built. This is how people make millions of dollars very systematically. Okay, it's not that hard. Like JP, who you guys may have heard on the podcast, this is what a lot of him and his team did. This is what I helped them with for like a year on Android. He was on the front end side, but they had the whole tech set up, and this is way before we had all the tools we have now. But this is all they did, is they just iterate each step of this. They break it down and they iterate it. This is what every app does. And when you really step back and look at this, and you look at the bigger picture, you realize that it is the ultimate roadmap. Like, you can't lose. The only way you can lose is if you just don't do it, because you're always going to keep improving if you just keep testing stuff and measuring it and knowing how to break it into parts. And then you move over here for the traffic. So I would urge you to take this. So anyone in the App Business Strength program will do this. I'm going to break this out in the worksheet, and you can do this this week, and then we'll talk about this at the event. But if you're not in the App Business Strength program, give this a try. Open your app or go to any app in the App Store and see if you can use the app and break it into buckets. What are the different buckets I want to measure? What are the moments that I want to measure within the app? So I hope that's helpful. I know that this is not like great lighting, and I'm not sitting in some sick beach chair in Tahiti right now, but this is real. This is what it's all about. It's a Sunday, and this is the kind of stuff that makes a huge difference in businesses. It's not glamorous, but this is the real deal. And I hope that for anybody out there who's questioning data or analytics, just take a shot at it. Just give it a shot. If you've done nothing, first thing you gotta do is just install analytics into your app. Just start there. Second is start to just take a guess, just ballpark this. And I think you'll see some cool stuff happen. So thanks for tuning in on a Sunday, and I'll see you later. Peace out.